I actually want to start with you, with Montreal, because you were in Montreal first.
Yeah.
Montreal was actually the first auto show.
Yeah, and it sucked.
It-
It was so small.
There was a lot of manufacturers that were missing.
It was actually my first one, so I did not know what to expect. But after reading in the groups and everything, I realized how small it actually was. We had like, I think, 5 manufacturers that showed up.
Yeah, there's quite a few that were missing. If I'm not wrong, I have the list here that there's BMW, Audi, Volvo, Porsche,
Ford, Honda.
Ford, and Honda weren't there,
Yeah.
and Stellantis in whole.
Yeah.
So Stellantis is Alfa Romeo, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, all in a whole weren't there. And there's other manufacturers that stood out, like Hyundai, Subaru, Kia.
VinFast was there.
Even WinFast was there. That
Yeah.
was quite
Surprising.
interesting. And I think personally, all the manufacturers were expecting people not to show at the auto show. And the Montreal Auto Show had actually great numbers. So the companies that actually came, like also Nissan,
Yeah, that's true. They were there.
they actually had great numbers to look at their cars. So I think it's a miss for the other manufacturers.
Probably, but it was the first one since COVID. So I guess we'll see next year.
We'll see if it also results in sales
Yeah.
for those manufacturers.
For sure, because it's a big investment for them to show up.
It's very expensive.
Especially when you look at Jeep, they showed up at Toronto. They actually have a pretty big setup, so you can do a little drive with like the 4xe, I think.
You can actually drive. It's somebody that drives for you over
Okay.
the
The kind of ramp.
the off-road ramps and to show you the capability of it. So yeah, there was the 4xe, but there are also the Grand Wagoneer was there,
Okay.
and also the Grand Cherokee.
Interesting.
But it's quite fun because we had seen it in New York last year, where they actually made us climb super high.
Well, that was with the electric, I think.
No, that was actually the plug-in hybrid
Okay.
as well,
The
the
4xe.
4xe as well.
Because you didn't get into the electric they showed, but never started sale.
The electric Jeep,
Yeah.
it's not yet available.
Yeah, it's not yet available, but they showed the car in New York.
I'm not. No, they have. No, they didn't show
That's what
it.
they did.
No, they were showing it off at, if I'm not wrong, at CES
Okay.
in Las Vegas.
Makes
They were
sense.
showing
California electric.
the
of course.
Magneto,
Yeah, Magneto.
the Jeep Magneto, and there is one that's currently going to go on sale, which is the Jeep Avenger, but that's only
like the smaller one.
it's
The Compass.
it's somewhere between the Compass and the
Cherokee.
no, not the Cherokee, the smaller one, the Renegade.
Renegade. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of situates still and in between there, and it's mainly for the Europe market.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah, it was actually very small. The companies that were there did put a good show. We saw the Concept 7 from Hyundai. That was interesting.
Which was in Montreal only.
Yeah, Montreal only wasn't there in Toronto. But it was interesting. It was a
It's a
was a fun
beautiful.
show.
It's a beautiful concept, and it actually a lot of people that read our website or on our go on our social media is like, I need a 7-passenger, and I wanted something electric, and there's nothing right now.
yeah. There's actually nothing.
There is the Model X,
Yeah.
but it's five. It's really a 5+2 in reality.
There's no through 7 seats.
Yeah, there's no real SUV that's for 7 people.
That kind of sucks, but you know,
It's
it's definitely coming
that's reasonably priced as well.
Yeah.
Because the Model X is nothing.
for sure.
It's beautiful, but it's not available to everybody.
No, definitely. Even the Model Y, it's not available to everyone.
Yeah,
It's a decent price, but not everyone can afford. What is it? I think it's
I think it's 75.
75 for the base model.
and if you want to price it and have all the options,
90,000.
yeah. So it becomes a luxury SUV. At
But
that point.
it's definitely coming. We're going to see it in the next few years. Everything is going electric, whether you want it to or not. That's where it's going. So
And
It's
we had seen the equivalent from Kia in New York as well, which was the EV9.
EV9, yeah. It's coming. This one is coming very soon. It was a concept at first, but we keep seeing more photos of it getting tested. So I think it's going to be coming in like the next two years.
Probably Hyundai will show their vehicle first, but we'll see how that goes.
That's interesting. The vehicles they're coming out with in the electric are amazing.
They're strong when it comes to the electric vehicles.
The Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6.
Which was at the Toronto Autoshow as well. And they presented the N line of the Ioniq 6.
Yeah, we didn't see this one in Montreal. The N74.
Yeah, and the Ioniq 6N, which is like more race performance vehicle.
But the N74, it's
that's
the best looking car not available right now, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, because it's such a stunning vehicle.
Looks amazing.
And during the presentation in Toronto, it was quite interesting, which, I didn't personally know that as well, is that I knew that it was based on the Pony from Hyundai, but Back to the Future, if you put those two cars beside each other, they almost look similar. But the Pony from Hyundai came first.
Okay.
And AMC actually copied their design. They were influenced heavily on that concept. So if you look at the vehicle today, we're really going back to the future. The styling of it's very retro futuristic.
That's where we're going. Everybody wants something more retro. So the style of the cars is going there. We saw it with the Ioniq 5.
Which, to my personal taste, is a fantastic design.
It's amazing. Definitely. I personally love the EV6 better. But the Ioniq 5, most people prefer it to the EV6.
It's well designed. I hate to say it, but it would be a perfect vehicle if they put that wiper in the back for our winters. And it's such a small modification versus the EV6. Due to the fact that the slope is totally different on the EV6, it's a non-issue for that.
Yeah, because we tested both of them
back to back. We had them set together.
Yeah. And I had no problem with the EV6. The back window was perfectly clean, but the Ioniq 5 was completely dirty at the exact same time on the exact same road. It's actually a problem with that car.
It is, and it comes to one of the vehicles we tested last week, which was the Subaru Outback XT, and the wiper could be removed fine. It might be a moving part that's not necessary, but what we liked and what we've seen on other GM products as well, not just on Subaru, but on the vehicle that we tested, is that there's an actual camera on the fin that is connected directly to your rear view mirror. And, if your back lens gets dirty, you can still see perfectly out of the vehicle. And because it's so high, it doesn't get dirty either. I love what GM does as well. If it actually does get dirty, you just press the button and it actually cleans it as well.
It's the same that's going to be in the new Prius as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably. I haven't double checked on it.
I find it funny that usually it's a feature you saw on Land Rover and cars like that, but now you have it on the Prius.
Yeah.
The new Prius, which by the way looks amazing. I saw it in Montreal. Great looking car.
There's a couple of things that bother me of that vehicle. Okay. It's the trunk.
It got smaller.
It actually got smaller, and the handles as well for the back seats. It's not ideal for kids.
It's not ideal for sure.
Yeah, that it could be lower just to make it more accessible, but for some reason they put it very high up, make it slicker and more.
I don't mind it, but kids are older, so not going to be a problem for us if we were to order it, which we did, but definitely going to cancel it because of the price jump. It's a big price jump over the old version.
Over the current generation. But there's no official pricing on the actual Prime, on the Prius Prime.
But the upgrading price in the
hybrid version.
Yeah, it shows where it's going.
Yeah.
It's
It's a huge jump.
Yeah, it's a huge jump.
And it's not only a huge jump for the price of the vehicle, the interest rates have jumped as well, making it less accessible. And I think that's why I have a feeling that because Toyota doesn't expect the sales of the new Prius to pick up at the same numbers as the highest numbers ever of Prius is sold. So I think because the price will be a huge factor in limitation in selling.
Same as a new Civic.
Yeah.
The Civic used to be so affordable.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're here in Quebec and the Model 3, which is more expensive, which is electric, outsold the Honda Civic.
What reason? The Civic is so expensive now.
It
It
is.
starts at over $30,000.
It is, and it has a lot of features. Which
It does. It was amazing. I loved the new Civic.
And it has some features like semi-autonomous driving, which
The
is
best one I tested, actually.
Yeah, it's actually better than on BMW, which is a premium car, or even I wouldn't say Benz because Benz is pretty good as well. But
pretty good.
Even on the
It's crazy that right now we're comparing a future from the Civic to BMW.
yeah, which is crazy. If somebody would have told me that semi-autonomous driving would be better on a Honda Civic than on a BMW, I would have laughed at that person. I'm
But I
talking
think
about
that's
today.
where the luxury brand they're sleeping on technology a bit, because you see in Kia, Honda, Hyundai, the technology is as good, if not better, on certain stuff.
Either they're sleeping on it or they're going full blown like Benz with their EQS, which has huge screens. Everything is electric, and we've seen a couple of issues when we actually tested the Mercedes C300, where the actual screen started completely bugging off.
Yeah.
And
But I mean, that's that Mercedes at this point. It's not as reliable as it used to be.
Indeed.
That's unfortunate, but for a car that price, I expect it to work better.
And that's a problem. Either you have too much technology and you have to rely too much on it, and it becomes a problem in reliability of that vehicle. Because you can see Benz is not currently in the higher. It doesn't rank very
well. No.
It doesn't rank very well.
And
And
they gotta
BMW
adapt with the technology, because I don't know if you saw. I just saw that today that they might change the intersection lights. We're gonna have actually 4 colors for autonomous cars in the future. And if if anything breaks on your car, it's not gonna work.
that's another issue.
So reliability of the technology is gonna be important in the future.
Very important.
And I don't feel like at this moment Mercedes is not following the way they should, especially against Korean's car that are coming so strong right now with Genesis, for example. Genesis is doing great.
Genesis is doing amazing. We love the G60 that we tested.
I actually love. We tested at this point all of them, all the GVs, all the G.
the
Tested them all.
G80 which was great. It's a bit pricey. It's a 6-figure car,
For sure.
But for what it offers,
But that's the thing. I think it's well priced because of how interesting Hyundai is. All of the cars right now in their lineup is so interesting for the price.
it's funny because they've got design-wise, they've got a lot of things going well for them.
The Tucson, the Santa Fe, even the Elantra, even though it looks like a cheaper car, I think it looks great. It was a really good redesign.
And it sells fairly well.
It's one of the best priced cars at this point. You can still get one for around $22,000, which is like $10,000 cheaper than a Civic. It's definitely a big difference.
It's a huge difference. Going back to the auto show, there were some new players as well, like VinFast, which was surprising because a lot of the times, new players you don't see them right away at the auto show, but they were there, and at the same time that they were in Toronto, they were announcing that they were cutting budgets.
Yeah, I just saw that. So they're like, what did they announce actually?
They're not investing anymore into the electric vehicles, which is kind of odd because you're just entering the market.
Yeah, they barely started. they barely start to sell.
and barely even, there's still some things that are stopping them from currently delivering vehicles, but it's a strange decision just before launching the vehicles to
Because
actually stop
it feels like they're
funding.
doing pretty good. They spend a lot of money on marketing for sure.
Maybe a little too much.
Probably a little
they,
too
they,
much.
They went all out in inviting journalists.
Yeah, YouTubers. They were in all of the shows.
I don't think they needed to do that.
Probably not.
It was a bit
Rivian didn't do that. Rivian in the US is doing pretty good.
pretty good as well. Yeah.
So I think they put too much money on marketing, probably because we can't even see one on the road at this point.
No, not at all.
That's so much money before even selling a car.
It would have been interesting to actually, if they wanted to invest that much in marketing, to actually wait until the first vehicles come to actually.
Because they look good. So
Yeah.
if you see one on the road, it's gonna turn some eyes. People are gonna talk about it.
Exactly.
It's
different.
gonna do some marketing by itself.
Exactly, but there's other things that I think that are blocking them as well. It's the fact that you have to lease the battery, or that you're actually, I'm sorry, not lease, but you're actually renting the battery. It's a strange. I understand where they are coming from, but we know from other electric vehicles that batteries don't go bad very quickly. We have batteries that last over 10 years now. So maybe
Poor decision for sure. We're gonna keep track of how they're doing in the future. I'm personally excited to see it on the road, maybe test it in the future. It's definitely gonna be fun, but I think they got to be more careful about how they spend their budget.
Indeed. And then you have other brands like GM, which were very, I don't know how they were in Montreal, but in Toronto, they were really strong, showing.
I think they had a third of the floor in Montreal.
I think that's about the same because, you have Cadillac, which was very present in Toronto. Then you had Chevrolet and GMC, take a huge chunk of the showroom in Toronto and showing their Hummer EV and their
Looks
Sierra.
great, by the way.
And the Sierra, I don't know if the Sierra was in
I'm pretty sure it
the
was.
Sierra EV.
We're gonna put some photos on the screen, by
Yeah.
the way, for the people watching on YouTube. We took photos of both shows, so we're gonna put some photos of the most interesting cars. I think the Sierra was there. The
Blazer.
the new Blazer was there.
Looks
So good.
It looks so good. It has like, I think this is the type of Blazer that they should have released initially with the styling and everything.
And what's the other one? The new EV they released as well.
The Equinox.
The Equinox looks so
Even
good.
the Equinox. The Equinox currently, between me and you, it's like it's the ugly duckling in the GM profile right
It
now.
is, but it's so well priced for an EV.
Yeah.
It's,
But I mean, I'm talking about the gas version right now. Not
yeah,
the
the
EV.
gas version,
The
yeah.
EV. The EV.
The new EV they released, the style is amazing.
They really put an effort into
Yeah,
their
and for the price, I think the Equinox starts at 36,000, so pretty much the price of the Bolt EUV.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting because they're pricing it very aggressively, and it's going to be interesting to see where the Bolt is
Yeah,
going to
what happens with it? Because the Bolt EUV, I don't think it's going to be as popular in a world where Equinox would be available, but I think at this point you're going to wait like 5 years if you order right now. So definitely still a place for the EUV at this point.
EUV and the EV as well, the Bolt EV.
Because getting an electric car with decent range, decent technology for $30,000 is still very interesting.
Yeah, which we love the Bolt EV when we tested it just before. It had a recall, but we just love the range. And the announced range is a real announced range. We were driving and we were actually getting better range than actually advertised. And we were driving it not smoothly. We were driving it 110,
Yeah, we were having
120.
fun with it.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, interesting stuff from GM for sure. The pickups, they all look good. The Hummer, amazing.
It looks.
If you can afford that, it's probably the most useful vehicle in the market right now.
I wouldn't say useful. It's
Not
pretty-
useful, but like you have a decent sized bed. You have a frunk that's I can probably fit my Civic inside. It's so huge.
It is huge, and I wouldn't call it a pickup anymore. It's like
not
a
pickup.
supercar.
Yeah, it's a super.
It's a super monster SUV
Yeah.
pickup because there's
It is actually the first one I saw was in the showroom, and it's huge.
it's humongous.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see them in action and actually.
it's gonna be fun to try. We're
Yeah.
definitely gonna beat it up. We're definitely gonna go off road with it and beat it up
Maybe GM is not going to let us drive it if we tell them we're going to beat it up.
in a good way. In a good way. We have photos of cars we beat up, and
Yeah.
the
Bronco.
Yeah, the Bronco, the 4xe. Not gonna talk about the Frontier, but we have fun off road with the good cars for it.
Indeed. But talking about the Hummer, where there was somebody that crashed it with like a couple of miles on it,
Ah, classic.
and I think there were
The same thing you see on social media with people coming out of a Ferrari dealership and crashing it after like 2 seconds.
pretty much that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
That was quite interesting.
When you
And I
drive a
think
car,
that's-
you're not ready to drive.
I think that makes GM nervous in actually giving it to journalists to.
Oh,
actually
for sure.
try.
If journalists beat up the cars, they
Yeah.
try. So I would be stressed as well.
Yeah, it's an important vehicle for them as well.
What was it? I think it was the one of the Mercedes. It was at like 10,000 kilometers done. The brakes were done.
Oh yeah.
That's like that with pretty much all of the.
And it was a
performance
performance.
car.
Yeah, it was an AMG vehicle that we tested, and the brakes were completely finished.
10,000 kilometers.
Yeah, and yeah,
I changed the brakes on my car once since I got it. It was
Yeah.
like 7
yeah.
years ago.
Normally, depending on how you drive, 60 to 80,000 kilometers, you change your brakes.
Yeah, but with I drive a Note Civic, so it's
I drive a Mini Countryman, which is a plug-in hybrid, and
It's great.
It's great. I actually was concerned about changing the brakes, and they were like, "I'm at 90,000 kilometers," and they're like, "No, you're still good." Normally when you go to a dealer, they'll try to upsell you in something. Oh no, you have to change them. No,
must have been relief, especially with the prices for repairs on Mini since it's BMW.
Yeah, but it's actually not that bad.
Okay.
It's better than a BMW, but
For sure, but
we've had the Mini Countryman for almost 4 years now, and we've Mini was not known for reliability, and that was one of the chances I took when we got it as a long-term tester. Which we do have another long-term tester, which is the Mitsubishi Outlander, but the Countryman in 90,000 kilometers, we did not have any repairs.
yeah, my girlfriend has had it for a year and a half, I
She
think.
has one too, which is the Cooper one.
Yeah, didn't have to do anything on it yet.
That's
Doing great.
and you see that in the reliability charts that Mini and BMW have gone up compared to where they used to be.
Mercedes went down. we had some experience with it, definitely. What else did you have in Toronto? What else was interesting? What stood out?
It's funny. There's this Canadian company from New Brunswick, which is called Potential Motors.
Yeah, I saw the photos. It looks so interesting.
It's
So
an
an off-road van.
Yeah, which to have the van life kind of, and it's called Adventure One.
I'm gonna pop some photos on the screens again. It
Yeah.
looks amazing.
It looks stunning.
Wish I could go camping or road trip for a week with that car.
It was stunning, and you had your kitchen as well. You had your bed. It's made for two people, and this might be a shock to some people, but the range that was announced is 160 kilometers, so 100 miles. But the announced range is off-road only, so it has a better range when you're driving it on the road.
I would be curious to see how much range you can get on the road.
Yeah,
But I want to say this is not a car you're getting to go on the road, but it kind of is. If I want to go in the west of Canada, it would be amazing in a car like that.
it would. And
But if I have to stop every 2 hours,
it becomes less interesting.
becomes
And
less interesting.
that's when I spoke to them, and I want to I don't want to say anything, but if you're going off road, because what you're telling me, the actual off-road part, people don't go 160 kilometers off-road necessarily. But what they were telling me is that there will be a range extender version available, which will be powered by a propane range extender. And it
Can you use it to like power your stuff?
Yeah, that's what is interesting. So you can actually use that van or that camper pretty much during the winter, because that propane will also heat or keep the heat maintained in the vehicle during the winter, so you don't have to rely just on the battery. And they didn't want to give me yet a lot of information on it, so it will also extend the range. We don't know how much, but if you have a propane range extender, that should extend the range quite a lot.
Interesting. All right, so the segment about the auto show was supposed to be like 10 minutes. I think it's actually like 30 minutes at this point.
Oh, damn.
I'm giving you 1 minute to tell me the best cars, the most interesting cars you saw in the auto show.
Hands down the Hyundai N74.
Your top five. Give me your top five.
Top five. N75, Hummer.
N74.
N74. What did I say?
N75.
Oh, 74. Yeah.
74.
The Ioniq 6 N.
Didn't like the styling of that car.
I don't like it, but I'm a sucker for wings. It looks just so sporty and everything.
Mm-hmm. Number four.
Number four. You know what? I'll have to go with the Cadillac. The electric version.
The Cadillac.
It's not music. It's. I think I'll get roasted for that one.
Probably.
Lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brentford.
For the Lyric and.
Number five.
I think it's the Blazer.
The Blazer looked amazing.
Yeah.
Great choice. All EVs.
Yeah, strangely.
That's where it's going.
Yeah, because otherwise there was no. The only other cars that were announced in Toronto that were gas powered really was the Subaru Impreza and the new Crosstrek.
Even though they're very interesting for the price, we've been there. We have seen those cars.
Yeah, they're just mild refreshes.
Yeah, it's not a revolution.
No, it isn't.
But still, loved it. We drove pretty much all of them.
But you know what? I forgot one gas car, and maybe that was the Corvette Z08 from the OPP.
I'm not sure if I know there was a Corvette in like all the way in the back of the auto show in Montreal. Not sure which.
But that was from the OPP, which is the Ontario Police.
Okay. Interesting.
And I spoke to the surgeon there, and the car is actually lent. It's a loan from GM.
Okay.
And the car is black, and it's only the doors are wrapped, so it gives that black and white, like a police cruiser.
Car. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Did you take any photo of that?
I did.
Okay, I'll pop it on the screen.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that was your top five. Any hypercars over there? Lamborghini, Ferrari?
There were, I think the same with Montreal. There are certain cars that were, but it was a private collection. And there was no private hypercar manufacturer that was actually showing their vehicles.
So we had one, I don't remember who it was from, in Montreal. If you live in Montreal and you were on the groups, you definitely saw it. People posted it for like a month. I'll put up some photos. It was great. It was fun to see. I think there was an F12. Very interesting. Very interesting. Lamborghinis as well. It was fun to see. Usually you just see it either in the street from far away or in dealership, but being that close to it was definitely interesting.
And I think were you able to get close?
No, okay, you couldn't get close. They were there was a barrier blocking you.
Okay,
but it was fun. It was a good experience. As my first auto show, I think, because I don't have any reference for anything else. But I'm excited to see what they do next year. Like you said, it was probably bigger than they expected. It was the first one in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, since before
COVID, 2023. So it was the first one in 4 years. Interesting. It was fun. So,
and what were your
my top five?
Yeah, from Montreal.
Not in order, but I'm definitely gonna put the EV6 GT inside of that. I love the EV6. Can't wait to test the GT. amazing looking car.
But I think what was it? The Concept 7?
Yeah, Concept 7.
That looked stunning, and
I'll
yeah,
put some
you'll probably post some photos as well, and you made a stunning photo of it.
Appreciate it, thank you.
The angle and everything fit right.
Hummer, top 5 for sure. I'm trying to picture, because it was like, what was it, 2 months ago? Mm-hmm. One month ago?
In January, mid of January.
Yeah. I forgot everything about it already. Really liked there was a Shelby stand. There was like 5 Shelbys. Very interesting.
That's true.
Corvette makes the top 5, in my opinion. Great car for the price. We tested it, loved it. I'll post some. Yeah, it's right behind you. It's not going to show up on the video though.
Well, we'll try to change those posters.
Yeah,
we might change them up for our podcast, or if we have more people on the podcast.
Could have more guests.
Yeah.
Blazer makes top 5. No, actually, you know what? I'm not putting the Blazer in the top 5. I'm going to put the Equinox. I think it's better price for a very similar looking car. Mm-hmm. Except from the Ioniq 6, great looking car. Loved it.
The pricing for the US pricing was just announced, and
a lot lower than we thought.
Yeah, a lot lower.
50,000?
Yeah, 50,000 for the all. We're talking about US dollars right now. Mm-hmm. For the all-wheel drive version with the long battery, which comes in line with the actual Ioniq 5 pricing. So it's quite interesting that a sportier car is actually priced like a family SUV.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to figure out which one is going to be my last one. Just so we included, there was a Bugatti, green Bugatti.
Veyron or?
Not sure. Okay. I'll pop a photo.
And
I tried to
roast
do everything
him for not knowing which model it was.
Definitely. It's not the kind of cars we see that much here, so.
We don't. Especially in the winter.
I enjoyed seeing it. I tried to go through the whole show so quickly since I had to go back to the studio and edit everything pretty quickly. I think I did the whole show in like an hour and a half,
which is amazing.
Which,
like, I've done it previously before COVID, and I was never able to finish before. Like, it used to take 3 hours at least for the journalist part, and sometimes I remember leaving just before the VIP show started, where people are invited to have supper and see the
I didn't go to that. Yeah. Probably should have, but I'm a photographer. I wanted to focus on I wanted to be the first one to get the photos out, and I think I was. I posted on the groups before everyone got sick of seeing it. So
we've seen on forums and everything that
people were just sick of seeing the photos. Yeah. Everybody was just. I think there was over 100 posts of the Ferraris. Like,
and in different angles.
We saw it from all the angles. So had to stop at some point. It was too much. So, present yourself a bit.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. How did you start your career as a journalist?
As a journalist, quite funny. I think I'll start with how I actually got my first press vehicle in Canada. I was testing cars on my own already at that point, but I had contacted Volvo for a translation issue in one of their vehicles, and by sending them the information, they were like, "Okay, we see what you've done and on your website, and would you like to test a Volvo?" And the first Volvo I've actually tested, or which was my first press vehicle in Canada, which was a Volvo XC40. And that is actually the vehicle I drove to Toronto from Montreal. I did about 1,200 kilometers with it. And this is the B5, which is currently just refreshed.
Okay.
Which is a mild hybrid. That's why the B stands instead of the T. It's quite fuel efficient. I think we did 9.1 liters back and forth from Montreal to Toronto. Heavy snow, ice rain, so not the best conditions to actually test the car, but still pretty good because
it's good conditions for us.
Yeah, it's perfect conditions for us.
Yeah,
and it
because if something goes well in the winter, we don't care how it goes in the summer.
Exactly.
a car like a Volvo has to perform
Great.
great in the winter.
And,
Otherwise,
and which it did. It excelled in that ice rain, in that slipper conditions. It drove like a charm.
I mean, Volvo is probably the safest car you can get, so it's no
Probably.
surprise in my opinion.
There are reliability issues with the electronics, which we know about. One thing I didn't like about the XC40 with the B5 is the actual engine noise with the mild hybrid system. It actually sounds like more of a jet engine, not necessarily the nice type of sound that you want to hear, especially on a turbo vehicle, which it has as well. But overall, great fuel economy for winter, for driving in the city as well. One thing that they've included now is in their new system, since they've switched to Google, is to actually have Apple CarPlay and Google.
About time. About time.
And
I wouldn't say you needed it, but about time.
It's about time because they were talking about it since.
Are we going to see it in Tesla at any point?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
It's
But it's still not wireless. You still had to have it plugged in.
just like Kia and Hyundai. Some of them.
Yeah.
Not sure why. There's definitely a reason. I don't know why.
And it comes to the point where we're testing the Porsche Macan T, which is like
Right now.
Right
so
now,
we just shot it a few hours ago.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was
really fun to drive.
It is.
We didn't drive like assholes at all.
No.
We use blinkers. It's fine.
Well, yeah. It might be the first. The people that were driving behind us, they were probably, it's the first Porsche driver that uses the blinkers.
Probably. It shows that it wasn't our car. But it was fun. It was
bright yellow.
Which is probably the most expensive paint that I have heard of, except on like Lamborghini or something.
$12,000 for that.
$12,000 for
that color. It's actually more. How much is it? $13,000 and $13,550.
I'm just wondering, at that point, just get the base color and wrap it. You're gonna protect your car a lot better for what, a fourth of the price?
Because a good wrap is maybe
$13,000.
it's a lot. The color is nice.
It's really nice,
and you have to own it. You have to own the color. It's not everyone that will drive away with them.
I love bright yellow / orange colors, like the Bronco we got on the wall. Looks great. If I was to get a compact SUV or a bigger car, that color for sure.
Yeah, it's
great.
Stunning.
But $13,000 is completely crazy. I would never pay that.
And the car that we're testing is actually $91,900 for. It's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's what you expect to pay for Porsche. Definitely, it was very comfortable. I don't really have any complaint about.
And especially that it's not a full. It's not the base model. It's a new trim, which is the Macan T, and it has a lot of luxury features like the leveling suspension that is automatic as well. Even has an off-road function that we actually use to play in the snow when we took our photos.
Worked great.
Yeah.
It was open. It was good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go fully off-road with it though.
No. But some people do. They modify their Porsche. It would be actually interesting to.
I think I saw a video of someone who modified a 911 to go off-road. Looked amazing.
And I think the Macan, let's say, not necessarily today, but in 10 years from now, that specific version of the Macan, I would, once it gets more, let's say the price goes down, I would love to get it and just transform it into an actual off-road beast.
Would be
remove the seats, remove the comfort.
Remove everything. At this point, it's...
And make it really a true off-roader because
it would definitely
it has
be
the
fun.
Potential.
We love going off-road. We do it as often as we can. Always a good time, except that time with the Nissan, but I'm not going to talk about that.
I always, when I ask them a vehicle, I'm always skeptic what they'll tell me. But again, it was an off-road vehicle, and
we went off-road with it. Yeah. Went to off-road. So that was the worst presentation ever for yourself. You spent 2 seconds talking about yourself and started talking about a car again.
Exactly. I just love cars.
I
think that's the problem.
I'm giving you 1 minute to tell us as much as you can about
myself.
Yeah,
I love cars.
You already took 10 minutes.
Oh, I love cars. I love involving my family in our reviews.
Yeah, driving fun and family.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of sums it up.
So you took 10 minutes to tell us about Volvo and Porsche, but you take 15 seconds to present yourself.
I think I don't have to present myself.
We'll see in the future during the podcast.
I'll open up. I have layers.
I'll take my minute to talk about myself. I am not a car person, which is
I actually made you a car person.
You made me a car person. I was not. I started taking photos of cars 3 years ago. I'm driving them. Love it. I think I'm just the normal person enjoying cars, which is definitely gonna give a more human approach to the podcast.
And you like technology as well.
I love technology. I'm a camera guy. I change probably every 6 months. So when I try a new car, that's what I look for. I look for how the screen works. Does it have Apple CarPlay? Does it drive by itself? I am not an engine enthusiast. I love going fast, but I enjoy more being comfortable in a car, driving it every day. See if I would love to have that car in my life. The different approach, but that's a little bit about me. That's about it for me.
For today. We'll open up.
We'll open up. So what you can expect on the podcast, we're definitely going to have more guests coming up. Mm-hmm. We have other journalists, people from the industry.
Talking about not only talking about cars in general, but everything around the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll involve also, food. Because we like to go with the cars that we test. We love to eat. Yeah. and good coffee. I need my good coffee.
I gained 50 pounds since I've met you. I'm not saying it's your fault. It's also the amount of time I've known my girlfriend. So let's say it's our fault. But we love to eat. So we'll include some food and drinks in the podcast.
And I think the thing that I do the most with the cars I test is to go to my favorite coffee places.
What is it?
There's Baristella.
I know you always you always post stories with your coffee.
I think Montreal. I think one of the best coffees in Montreal is Baristella, hands down. I think if you're in Montreal, you're missing out if you don't go to Baristella.
You know what? Next podcast, you're bringing coffee for everyone. From that place.
Okay, well
that's going to be your homework.
Okay.
So you can expect to see more guests. We're probably going to post videos twice a month. We want to cover
news as well.
We want to cover news for sure. There's always a lot happening. It's going to be your go-to place to know what's going on in the car industry world. That's about it. I recommend you watch the show on YouTube because we're going to post photos we take. We're going to give you more visual reference.
And stats of the actual vehicles that we test as well.
Yeah.
We'll include some of the stats as well on a basis.
Definitely some of the specs.
But
there's only so much we can do on Spotify or Apple Podcast. But if you listen to it there, we're going to make it interesting as well. Please drop a like wherever you're watching it. Comment if you have anything to say. We appreciate it. It's definitely going to help us to create more content that you guys can like. Yeah. If you have any recommendations, let us know.
Just leave a note in the comments.
Yeah.
And you can roast us if we roast us if we did a mistake.
We're going to bust ourselves as soon as we see that video.
Probably.
It was our first one. Go easy.
Yeah.
We're going to probably see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.